around and see my wonderful life, almost perfect from the outside. In picture frames, I see my beautiful wife, always smiling, but on the inside, now I can hear her saying, leading with strong hands, stand up when I can, don't leave me. Hungry for love, chasing dreams, but what about us? Show me you're willing to fight, that I'm still the love of your life. I know we call this our home, but I still feel alone. I see their faces, look at their innocent eyes, they're just children from the outside. I'm working hard, I tell myself they'll be fine, they're independent, but on the inside, oh, I can hear them saying, lead me with strong hands, stand up when I can, don't leave me. Hungry for love, chasing dreams, but what about us? Show me you're willing to fight, that I'm still the love of your life. I know we call this our home, but I still feel alone. So Father, give me the strength, give me everything I'm called to be. Oh Father, show me the way to lead them. Won't you lead me to lead them with strong hands, to stand up when they can, don't want to leave them. Hungry for love, chasing things that I could give up. I'll show them I'm willing to fight and give them the best of my life, so we can call this our home. Lead me, 'cause I can't do this alone. Father, lead me, 'cause I can't do this alone.
I'm not a perfect person. There's many things I wish I didn't do, but I continue learning. I never meant to do those things to you, and so I have to say before I go, I just want you to know I found a reason for me to change who I used to be, a reason to start over new, and the reason is you. And the reason is you. And the reason is you.
Can rock God. Hey, Embrace, welcome to church today. I hope you're having a good day. My name is Travis. I'm the pastor out at the T campus. It's good to be worshiping with us. If you're here at 57th Street or one of our campuses, network churches, or online, we're glad you have joined us. We are starting a new series today called Behind the Music. It's actually not a new series. We did this last year, so this is Behind the Music Volume 2. But honestly, out of all the series that we've ever done, I've never heard so much positive feedback from Behind the Music. So we decided it's summer, let's do it again. And by the way, the band has loved doing these covers. Did Tyson Brockle not just kill that? Hoobastank? Can we give it up for Tyson Brockle out at the T campus? Did a great job. But music is like the heart of our culture. Find out what the music is saying, and you'll know what the culture is feeling. So our hope in this series is to look at some songs, see what they say, and connect them to Jesus. And so my song I chose today is The Reason by Hoobastank. And I absolutely love, I'm looking at my blue marks here, I absolutely love this song. It came out in 2004, January of 2004, and it was a smash hit. It hit number 2 on the U.S. charts, and it was also top 10 in 10 different countries. Like I said, it came out in 2004. That's when I was about graduating college, going into adulthood. Nothing screams adulthood like listening to a band named Hoobastank. And I still have no idea what that word means. But the song is almost 17 years old now, but crazy enough, it has gained popularity again because of, anybody know? TikTok. TikTok. This song is on TikTok. The verse, I'm not a perfect person, has been shared. It's a hashtag on TikTok, and it's blown up again. And if you don't know what TikTok is, ask someone that is 16, and they will tell you. But this song is all about this guy finding his reason for living. Listen to these lyrics. I found a reason for me to change who I used to be. A reason to start over new, and the reason is you. I found a reason to show a side of me you didn't know, a reason for all that I do, and the reason is you. Now, I think one of the reasons that I was so interested in this song is the title. The title is The Reason. Now, that's a bold title if you think about it. It's not a reason, it is the reason. And this guy who's singing this song, he's saying that this girl or this relationship is the reason for his life. No pressure, right? Listen to that lyric again. A reason for all that I do. That's everything. And the reason is you. This girl is the reason for him to change, the reason for his purpose, the reason to keep living. But the question I have is that a good reason? I would say the answer is no. Yeah, right? No relationship can give us the reason to live. But I'm not here today to attack this song for its ideas about life. Obviously, a relationship is not a reason to living. But what I saw in this song was a huge parallel. As people who say that we follow Jesus, we believe similar things to this lyric. As Christians, we believe that God and Jesus Christ is the reason for change, the reason for our purpose, the reason to keep living. But my question is that a good reason? And one layer deeper, are there any good reasons to trust that Jesus can deliver the change, the purpose, and the fulfillment that our heart desires? Now, reasons are a bit like old movie theater seats. Here in Sioux Falls, we have an old theater called West Mall 7. I know lots of cities have these. You can get some cheap tickets and watch a movie. It's a great place. I love it. The only negative about the cheap theater is the seats. And if you've been there, you know what I'm talking about. Now, they've done a recent renovation, so it's a lot better than it was. But you used to walk into this theater, and it would be completely dark, and you'd like sit down on a seat trying to find one. And literally, you'd sit down, and you'd literally fall through a seat onto the floor practically. And after 4 or 5 times, you'd finally find a theater chair that was sturdy enough to hold you up through the whole 2-hour-long movie. Half of the seats were solid and sturdy, and the other half were shaky and unstable. Reasons are like old movie theater seats. Some are solid and sturdy, and some are shaky and unstable. And here's the deal. As Christians, we believe that God and Jesus are the reason for everything. That's what we believe. That God and Jesus are the reason for everything. But why do we believe this? Do we have any good, solid reasons to believe that God and Jesus even exist? Now, this question, and I don't say this lightly, it has literally haunted me in my life. From a very early age, I started reading books on dinosaurs and space and all kinds of other weird things. But as I would read these books, I would see a world in which God did not need to exist. And then I would go to church and I'd read my Bible, and then I would see a world where God and Jesus do exist. And these two worlds, they just did not reconcile with each other, and I got extremely confused. I came to a place in my life where I started to believe that there aren't any really good reasons to believe in God or Jesus. And if you want to believe, you have to take it on blind faith. Faith that isn't based on anything. Faith like a kid has in Santa Claus, or I was going to say Santa Claus, or the Easter Bunny or the Tooth Fairy. Don't want to get in trouble getting with Santa Claus anymore, do we? Whoever got in trouble. But for me, people are a little bit okay with the Tooth Fairy, I think. For me, that kind of blind faith seemed very shaky and an unstable reason to believe in God. So are the reasons to believe in God and Jesus like old theater chairs? Is the only reason for us to believe based on blind faith? Or are there some good, solid reasons on why we believe? Interestingly enough, a guy that followed Jesus named Peter, he talked about this, and this is what Peter said. He said, "Always be prepared to give an answer to everyone who asks you to give the reason for the hope that you have." Peter is saying, when people come and ask you, why do you believe in Jesus? You should have some good reasons to tell them, to show them why you believe. Kind of interesting, this word reason, the original language, it could also be translated as audit. Now that's a scary word for us, especially if you own a business. Like you don't want an audit, but let's think about this in spiritual terms. An audit is a thorough examination of your finances. So what is Peter saying? He's saying if someone comes and talks to you about why you believe in Jesus, you should have an audit, a very good list of reasons why you believe. You should have a thorough explanation of why you believe in Jesus. Now, I don't know about you, that doesn't sound like blind faith. It sounds like Peter has some very good reasons to believe that Jesus is real. And honestly, that's what I have found as well. I know, spoiler alert here, but the kid that doubted any good reasons for Jesus and God ended up becoming a pastor. Now, even as a pastor, I still have doubts all the time. It's okay to have doubts. If you have doubts today, I want you to know that that's okay. But as I've got older, I've learned more and more, and I've found that I don't have to take everything by blind faith. I found that there's some good theater chairs, some good solid reasons to believe that this is all true and worth giving my life to. Now, some of you are maybe asking, why is this all important? Well, if we just have blind faith, it will be really hard to keep that faith when big doubts arise or strong storms. We're going to need something more than just blind faith to hold on to. Along with that, the more solid reasons that we have for our belief in Jesus, the more confident we will be to follow him every day. Also, we live in a world that exceedingly more and more doesn't believe in God. So if we want to have any conversations with people, if we want to tell anybody about Jesus, we're going to have some good reasons of why we believe that he is real. So with the time left, I want to give you a few good reasons to believe in God and Jesus. Now, I'm not going to be able to prove to you that God exists, like 100% proof. Like that's what I was looking for when I was younger. 100% proof that God exists. I just want you, if you think about this long, you don't have 100% proof for anything. You're sitting on a chair right now. You have no 100% proof that that's not going to fall in on you right now. And if you're at West Mall 7, it just might. Like we don't have 100% proof for anything, but that doesn't stop us from moving forward and believing. Also, I'm going to be sharing with these reasons with you very briefly, but these things are being discussed and debated at some of the highest academic levels. I mean, brilliant philosophers, scientists, historians, theologians, they're writing books and papers on this. I'm just going to scratch the surface. And the reason I just say that to you is I just want you to know the well is deep with these things. There is a lot more than I'm able to share with you. Just like Hoobastank found the reason for their lives, hopefully I can share with you a few reasons to believe in God and to believe in Jesus. And then lastly, I want to share with you a personal reason why I believe myself. So, reasons for God. The first reason for God is the fine-tuning of the universe. And some of you, your eyes just glossed over. Oh my gosh, he's going to talk about science. I didn't come to science class today. Don't worry, it'll be quick. We'll keep going. But something that's been newly discovered in science, and this is actually really, really cool, is that the universe has been finely tuned. Now, what do I mean by that? Now, think back to your old radio. You know, the old radio that you had to turn just right to get the perfect station? That's what it looks like's happened with the physics of the universe, that they have been finely tuned to just perfectly land on the right spot. One example of this is something called the gravitational constant. I know that is a big word, but the gravitational constant, if it was just off by a little bit, the universe wouldn't have even formed. How little for the nerds in the room? It's 1 part in 1 times 10 to the 60th. There's a bunch of zeros up there. I should throw up when I say that. A whole bunch of zeros. If it was off by just that little bit amount, nothing would have formed. No matter would have formed, and the universe would just cease to exist. Now think about this. If there was no God and the universe just randomly showed up, there's no way. It's almost impossible that it could have picked that number, the perfect number for matter to come together. It's insane. Now, the cool thing about fine-tuning, that's just one example. There's 22 different examples, and I'm not going to go through them all with you today. 22 different examples of fine-tuning in the universe. Look at what physicist Paul Davies said. Paul Davies says, scientists are slowly waking up to an inconvenient truth. The universe looks suspiciously like a fix, or the deck has been stacked. Next one, Fred Hoyle, cosmologist, said, it was as if a super intellect has monkeyed with the physics. A super intellect has monkeyed with the physics. Man, I don't know about you. That sounds an awful lot like God. Another reason for God another reason for God is seen in our moral values. Now, we all have things that we believe are right and wrong, but we don't believe that they're just right or wrong for us. This is really important. We believe that they are right or wrong for all people, all time. We believe that they are universally right or wrong for all people. Let me give you an example. Most of us will say that love is universally morally good for all people, all time. Most of us would say that equality, like treating people equally, is universally good for all people, all time. How about morally bad? Most of us say that killing people for fun, if you did that, that is morally wrong for all time, all people. Sexual abuse, a lot of us say that is morally wrong for all people, all time. Now, what I'm saying, we don't believe that those are just right or wrong for us. That's the catchphrase, like my truth. We don't believe that with these things. We believe that they are true for all people. Do we have any basis to believe that, though, if there is no God? Sorry, I got lost in my notes. Oh, there we go. Well, if there is no God, is there any basis for us to believe these things? Man, and this is a deep discussion too, but I don't believe that there is. If there is no God, right and wrong is simply an illusion. All that ever is and all that ever will be are atoms and molecules. You are not special in the universe. You are a cosmic accident. And whether we do right or wrong, it really means nothing in the grand story of the universe. You think the universe cares what you do, right or wrong? Now that's depressing if you ask me. But without God, there just is no foundation. There's just no right or wrong. It's all an illusion. A philosopher, William Lane Craig, said this. He said, in a world without God, who's to say whose values are right and whose are wrong? Think of what that means. It means it's impossible to condemn war, oppression, or crime as evil. Nor can you praise generosity, self-sacrifice, and love as good. To kill someone or to love someone is the same. For in a universe without God, good and evil do not exist. There is only existence, and there is no one to say, you are right and I am wrong. If we want to keep the idea that love is universally good and that treating people of equal value is universally good and things like killing are universally morally bad, we have to have a foundation for those things. And that foundation looks an awful lot like God. But what about Jesus? What are some reasons for Jesus? This might be surprising to you, but no serious scholars deny that Jesus was a real person. The biggest argument around Jesus centers on the event that our faith is founded on, the resurrection. Jesus dying and rising from the dead. So, are there any good reasons for us to believe that Jesus actually rose from the dead, or do we have to accept it just by blind faith? Dr. Gary Habermas, who's a historian and New Testament scholar, he says that there are six historical facts that are true, not because we believe in the Bible. They are just historically true, and all historians would agree on them. The first one is that Jesus died by crucifixion. That's not just something we get from the Bible. Historians believe that that is true. The second thing, the disciples had experiences that they believed were the risen Jesus. Now, okay, I saw them all come up over there, and I was like, they believed that they had experiences that they believed were the risen Jesus. Now, this isn't saying that they believed Jesus was risen. It's just saying that the disciples believed that Jesus was risen from the dead, that they actually believed it. Number three, their belief, will all those come up when you hit it on the back? Because I can read them from there then if they do. That would be awesome. Should I read them off the screen? I thought that might be a little, should I do that? They're on back right now. Yeah, I can enough. Okay, I'll reference it. But number three, their belief in the resurrection turned the world upside down. They believed this so strongly that their faith, it went from Israel to Rome to the world. And it has changed people and cultures and kingdoms because of their belief. Number four, Jesus' resurrection was proclaimed very early after his death. What you'll hear a lot of times is, well, this was a myth that started 50, 100 years, 200 years, yet no. Very early after his death, they started proclaiming the resurrection from the grave. The disciples believed that not 50 years later. They believed it right after he had died. Number five, Paul believed Jesus was raised. Now, why is this important? Paul, we think of, oh, Paul's a Bible character. He is, but he is also a historical person in history. Paul was a Pharisee. He killed Christians. He wanted nothing to do with the church, but then something changed in his life. You know what changed? He said he saw Jesus. And it changed his life around so much so. It changed his life so much so that he ends up leading the church and dying for his faith. Number 6. James believed that Jesus was raised. What's important about James? James was the brother of Jesus. None of his family, besides Mary, none of his family believed that Jesus was the Son of God. But then James changed his mind. Why? He said that he saw Jesus raised from the dead. James becomes the leader of the Christian church, and then he ends up dying for his faith as well. Those are 6 facts, and we have to look at these are historically true. You don't just pull these from the Bible. These are historically true facts. We have to ask what best explains these 6 facts. Now, some of the common objections to Jesus being resurrection is, one is the disciples made it all up, but that makes no sense. If they made it all up, why would they have been able to die for a lie? And then why would 2 people convert if they thought it was just a lie? The second thing is the disciples saw a hallucination of Jesus. Well, that doesn't make any sense either. There was 15, and in Corinthians they say 500 people saw Jesus raised from the dead. I mean, one person could see a hallucination, but how could 15 people? Number 3, that some people say, well, Jesus just passed out in the tomb and then came back to life. But man, what we know historically about crucifixions is there's no way that Jesus could have survived these wounds. A spear to the side, the nails in the hands and the feet, there's just no way that he could have survived with the medicine that was available at the time. And the last one is the one that most people will use is just miracles are impossible. Miracles are impossible. And truthfully, though, as we talked about before, if God is real and if God exists, wouldn't it make sense that God could do something special or miraculous? If we presuppose there is no God, well, then there isn't miracles. But if we think that there is a God, it's very logical to think that there would be miracles. I got 2 minutes left. Okay. So those are, where am I at? Sorry. I've gone very briefly over this stuff, but we honestly begin to wrestle with these 6 historical facts. The resurrection seems like a pretty good option to us. Maybe even enough reason to believe. So those are some good reasons to believe that God exists and Jesus was resurrected. There are so many more reasons than these, and we've only barely scratched the surface. Like I said, the well is deep with this. But one of my big desires, I've wanted to kind of give a message on this for a long time, but one of my big desires with this is I know there's a lot of you that struggle with maybe doubts like I did, and so I just want to be able to create a group or a community that can talk about these things and discuss them and share resources. And so if you're interested in that, go to this website, IamEmbraced.com/reasons, and it's just a short form where you fill out your information, and I'm going to contact you this week with just some more resources and maybe some ideas of some gatherings we can do this summer. It doesn't matter if you're at a network church or St. Croix, we'd love to have you a part of this as well. So just as a song is personal and not technical, we can't just build our faith on all these technical reasons. So as we close, I want to share with you a personal reason why I believe in Jesus. It's really good to have all these outside reasons to build up our faith, but we don't have to have this stuff to believe in Jesus. Sometimes something just happens to you. Something just happens to you that's reason enough to believe. Once there was a blind man. Jesus healed the blind man. And the Pharisees, these teachers, they came to him and they started answering him all these questions. They were mad at Jesus and they peppered him with questions about Jesus. And the blind man just said back to him, he said, I don't know all the answers to all your questions about Jesus. All I know is once I was blind and now I can see. It was his personal experience which was reason enough for him to believe. Like I shared earlier, when I was younger, I struggled to believe in God. I just struggled to believe that God was real. And so you might ask, what changed? How did you start to believe? Well, I remember it like it was yesterday. I was up in my room upstairs. I'm room on the north side of the house, and I was struggling with all these doubts and all this stuff in my brain, and I was just overwhelmed, and it was almost tormenting me. And in this moment, I cried out to a God I didn't even believe was real, which is just crazy, right? I cried out to a God that I didn't even, that's when, yeah, pad right there. I cried out to a God I didn't even believe was real, and I said to him, God, I don't know if you're real, but if you are, I want to know you. And in that moment, my doubts didn't go away, but that was a turning point for me. I don't know what happened. It was like my heart, I think, was open, maybe for the first time, open to hear from him and to see him. And then over the next few months and years, I started to get more reasons why God was real. I started to get plugged into a church and Bible studies. I got baptized, and somewhere along the line, I became pastor. So that experience really shaped me, but something even crazier happened about 5 years ago. 5 years ago, I was sitting in the hospice room with my grandma. She was 87 years old. She was a couple months away from dying with cancer. And my grandma, 87 years old, and she wasn't afraid one bit of dying. Not one little bit was she afraid to die. And I'm like, how is that possible? I'm the king of doubts. I doubt everything. How does my grandma know so surely that Jesus is real and that she has a relationship with him? And so I asked my grandma. I was sitting with her in hospice. I said, Grandma, I said, how are you so sure about Jesus? And what she said to me, I was not expecting. She said, Travis, it used to not always be that way. When I was younger and I had little kids, I had a lot of doubts. I doubted that God would love me. I doubted that God would forgive me. I doubted that I could do enough good stuff for God. And she said, though, but it was one day I was up, I was putting the kids to bed, and I just knelt by the bed, and I said, God, I don't want to doubt you anymore. I want to know that you've forgiven me. I want to know that you love me. I want to know that you've done enough good for me. And she said that moment was a turning point in my faith, and I never doubted since. I said to my grandma, what room did you pray that prayer in? What I haven't told you is I grew up in my grandma's old house. She said it was the room upstairs on the north side, my room. And in that moment, I had a reason to believe that Jesus had always been with me. Now, I know you can write that away as a coincidence. Believe me, I've thought about that. You can write that away as just a coincidence, but I don't know, guys. It was really real to me. And in that moment, I just knew that he was real and he'd always been there with me. Sometimes we're just like the blind man. Once we were blind, now we can see. Once we were with the truth, once we were without the truth, and now we are with the truth. Once we are without Jesus, and then we are with him. One time we are different, we are indifferent to Jesus, and now we are different with him. And all we know is we wouldn't change that for any reason.
When he rolls up the sleeves, he ain't putting on the ribs. Our God is an awesome God. There's lightning in his footsteps and thunder in his fist. Our God is an awesome God. The Lord wasn't joking when he kicked him out of Eden. It wasn't for no reason that he shed his blood. His return is very soon, so you better be believing that our God is an awesome God. Our God is an awesome God. He reigns from heaven above with wisdom, power, and love. Our God is an awesome God. And when the sky was starless in the void of the night, our God is an awesome God. He spoke into the darkness and created the light. Our God is an awesome God. Judgment and wrath he poured out on Sodom. Mercy and grace he gave us at the cross. I hope that we have not too quickly forgotten that our God is an awesome God. Our God is an awesome God. He reigns from heaven above with wisdom, power, and love. Our God is an awesome God. Our God is an awesome God. He reigns from heaven above with wisdom, power, and love. Our God is an awesome God. Our God is an awesome God. He reigns from heaven above with wisdom, power, and love. Our God is an awesome God. Our God is an awesome God. Our God is an awesome God.
Do you have a reason for your hope and why you believe in Jesus? I had to think about that a little bit. There's some announcements today. They're pretty much the standard ones, the ones that we do weekly on starting after church at 10:45, whenever we're done. We're going to be doing a Bible study called Food of the Bible. So that should be interesting. So we'll be doing that next week. For Christine, her office hours are going to be a little bit inconsistent. So if you want to meet with Christine, you need to call and make an appointment with her so that you can be assured that she'll be there. On Tuesdays at 10 o'clock, we have a group that meets at Harvey's for a lot of visiting and eating, and so they have a nice time there and have lots of interesting discussions. Also on Fridays is men's group at Cup of Joy, and if you're an early riser, it starts at 6:30 and goes till 7:30 in the morning. Also, there's going to be food trucks here at the Gateway area, not here, but I think on the other side of Sterling on Tuesdays. So if you like food trucks, head over this way. All right. Would you bow your heads in prayer? Dear Father, we are so thankful for you, for your giving us this universe, for giving us this moral compass. We thank you for the blessings of each and every day. We thank you for healing those who are sick, who are sad, who are afraid. We ask that you give them strength and that you continue their healing. We know that many people are suffering. We ask that you continue to be with them, to help their bodies heal, and to keep them strong, and to be with those who are caring for them. Surround them with your love. We ask that you help us to deal with some of our fears, the fears that are in this world right now. We don't have to be afraid because we know we have you. We have you by our side. We have you to guide us. And we are so grateful for that. I would ask you to join me in the Lord's Prayer.
You to join me in the Lord's Prayer. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Say, daily bread, and forgive us lead us not from evil. Thine is the kingdom, the power, and the glory forever. Amen.
Some people think you're distant, just some words on a page, that you're nothing more than fables handed down along the way. But I've seen you part the waters when no one else could pull me from the deep. That's who you are to me.
Some people think you just live in cathedrals made of stone, but I know you live inside my heart. I know that it's your home, and I've seen you on the sunset in the eyes of a stranger on the street. That's who you are to me. You're amazing, faithful, love's open door. When I'm empty, you fill me with hunger for more of your mercy, your goodness. Lord, you're the air that I breathe. That's who you are to me. Who you are to me.
Sometimes I have my doubts, I'm sure that everybody does.
And I wonder when I stumble, am I still worthy of your love? But I know that I get stronger when I'm talking to you down on my knees. You're everything I need. You're amazing, faithful, love's open door. When I'm empty, you fill me with hunger for more of your mercy, your goodness. Lord, you're the air that I breathe. That's who you are to me. Who you are to me.
Forever, holy,
You're the Lamb
who is worthy. My forgiveness, my healer, the Messiah, my Redeemer.
You're amazing, faithful, love's open door. When I'm empty, you fill me with hunger for more of your mercy, your goodness. Lord, you're the air that I breathe. That's who you are. You are greater, higher, over it all. In your presence, Jesus, I stand in awe of your mercy, your goodness. Lord, you're the air that I breathe. That's who you are to me.
That's who you are. That's who you are. That's who you are.
That's who you are to